Here comes the heat, here comes the humidity. Good evening, everyone. It's Eric Wilhelm here with weather for Weather Geeks on this Wednesday evening. It's just a beautiful summer day today. Much like yesterday, but unlike yesterday, it was quite a bit warmer this afternoon, but with the dew points staying in check, still very delightful to be outside, especially as we got into the afternoon and the evening. But at the airport, we did hit 87 today, our warmest day in a little over a week. We had 87 back on the 15th of the month. And again, a change compared to the last several days. You can see we've been at or below the average in terms of daytime highs over much of the last 5 or 6 days. But things are changing. Now, the dew point is higher than 24 hours ago, but it's still not very high. 24 hours ago, we had dew points around 50. Now our dew points are in the mid-50s. Still a bargain for, climatologically speaking, kind of the hottest time of the year, but these temperature or dew point change maps will look a lot different tomorrow. It's going to be a lot more humid tomorrow as those dew points rise into the 60s to around 70 degrees. Another nationwide look this evening. Not only is it quiet here locally, it's quiet up and down the eastern seaboard. It is a little more active in parts of the plains this evening compared to the same time last evening. A couple of severe thunderstorm watches in parts of Nebraska and Kansas and also parts of Wyoming and South Dakota. There's actually one active tornado warning up in extreme eastern Wisconsin this evening. So there are a few interesting things going on nationwide, but here locally, of course, it's very, very quiet, and it will remain so overnight. We had a good space station flyby last evening, and I forgot to tell you about it, but we've got another one tonight. It's not quite as good as last night's, but still, with a clear sky, this is worth checking out. It's at a little better time. It's a little more hospitable for some to check this out tonight. Last night's was closer to 11 p.m. Tonight's is closer to 10 p.m. It'll appear in the northwest sky at 10:10 p.m., be up there for about 5 minutes. The visibility ending at 10:15 as the space station disappears into the eastern sky, reaching a maximum elevation above our heads of about 52 degrees. So not exactly straight up, but still pretty nice. Nice and bright up there tonight. All right, look at these heat index numbers as we go into the second half of the day on Thursday. We haven't had a map that looks like this for a little while now. We had several days in June, of course, in which the heat index was a big story. But yeah, the heat index can touch or at least approach 100 in a few spots tomorrow afternoon. Now, officially, locally in our TV viewing area, there are not heat advisories out for tomorrow, but many of the adjacent counties off to our west do. And, you know, it's splitting hairs a little bit as far as who's under a heat advisory and who's not. We'll talk about the criteria in just a second, but just a reminder of what is the heat index. It's basically the apparent temperature to our body. We cool ourselves off by sweating. It works the same way as air conditioning. It's evaporative cooling. We sweat, that sweat then evaporates, and there's a little layer of cooler air that surrounds our bodies then as a result. Well, that process is hampered a lot when there's a lot of moisture already in the air. The sweat does not evaporate as efficiently, so you have a harder time cooling yourself off. And so if you have to exert yourself outdoors on Thursday, if you're working outside, if you are playing outside, doing anything in which you're going to work up a sweat on Thursday, it's going to be one of those days where take more water than you usually would and take more breaks than you usually would because, again, the heat index approaching 100 in the afternoon. Our part of the country, generally speaking, a heat index will be issued by, or a heat advisory, I should say, will be issued by the National Weather Service offices, both in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, when the heat index is, going to be around 100 for more than just a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of hours. And the best chance of seeing triple digits will be in some of the counties off to our west. That's why they have a heat advisory in many of those counties and not locally. But again, it's splitting hairs. Whether the heat index is 97 or 100, it's all about the same. It's hot. It's uncomfortable. It's oppressive. So don't worry too much about who's under a heat advisory and who is not. So this warm front lifts in tomorrow. It's a dew point boundary more than a temperature boundary. We'll have a few bubbling fair weather clouds, but otherwise just searing sunshine for a lot of the day on our Thursday. And we don't expect any rain until maybe late Thursday night. Could there be a passing shower? That's going to be a possibility. Closer to midnight and then even into the overnight as we head towards daybreak on Friday. I wouldn't be shocked if someone got a random shower or two. Friday afternoon can be a little more active, although the modeling today isn't exactly overpowering with the number of showers and storms it has in our area. Here's one run of this computer model showing, a wide scattering of showers and storms. Certainly if, the coverage looks like this, some places are going to get away dry. Some places could have a downpour. Severe weather does not seem all that likely. We'll talk about that in more detail in just a second. But either way, this weak front fades away. And basically, as we head into the weekend, what's left of that boundary will be stationary for a while, and then it'll actually start lifting back north as a warm front, and this can be a focusing mechanism for more showers and thunderstorms on Saturday, particularly as we get into the afternoon. Now, with the Day 3 severe weather outlook, the Storm Prediction Center today, with their midday update, did introduce a low-end level 1 risk of severe thunderstorms, hail, damaging winds in parts of eastern Ohio, the panhandle of West Virginia, parts of western PA as well. I think this is the right idea as far as what they have here. I think the chances are higher of perhaps a rowdy thunderstorm, more than just heavy rain, but perhaps some wind and hail. The chances are higher once you're down towards Wheeling and Steubenville in the Pittsburgh area as well. I think your chances are a little bit lower off to the north. Now, that being said, everyone can see some hefty downpours and any thunderstorms. These things will be moving. There is enough wind aloft to keep them moving along. But still, there's a low-end flash flood risk across the area on Friday, as noted by the Weather Prediction Center on Friday and on Saturday as well. They also have a low-end risk of flash flooding on Saturday. It's still going to be really juicy, this air mass, on Saturday. Both Friday and Saturday, the dew points are going to have a hard time dropping out of the 70s in the afternoon. They'll be mostly between, say, 70 and 73. That is tropical air. So these can be efficient rain producers, whatever manages to get going. Our tune really hasn't changed much on the longer range. We talked about this some last evening, I think Monday evening as well, here on Weather for Weather Geeks. The 8 to 14 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. Some blue on the map. We like to see that in the middle of summer, especially if you're not a fan of the kind of searing heat and humidity we're going to have at times over the next few days. I think this is the right idea as well. You know, the very end of July and the first handful of days of August, the air mass might resemble what we've had over the last couple of days. We might have some nights that get well down into the 50s. The days maybe no higher than the 70s on a few occasions, as what we ring in the new month of August late next week and into that following weekend. But plenty of heat to get through over the next several days. The hottest, most uncomfortable will probably be tomorrow, although the dew points may actually be a little bit higher Friday and Saturday than they will be tomorrow. But no matter which way you slice it, it's going to be pretty stinking hot, the dog days of summer, living up to their reputation here in late July. That'll do it for me on Weather for Weather Geeks on this Wednesday evening. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.